There are some things. Don't look yet, Ethan. Ethan. Okay, you can look.
And then there's that.
This, my friends. So it's officially tailgating season, isn't it? It's tailgating season?
It is. I've never seen that at a tailgate, though.
So we did steak bites recently. You know what? I'll get into it in a minute. I'll get into it. These are pork bites, not steak bites, on a bed of wilted cabbage. Spicy, delicious. A little bit of Bachan's miso. Come on! Let me show you guys how I like to do it. Let's start off first, before we start cooking. We talked a while ago when we did a steak video, which was a great one, by the way, CJ.
It was good.
Fantastic. What we did is we cooked the steak whole and waited until the end to cut it into bits so we could maintain that medium rare, medium-ish.
It's revolutionary in the steak bites industry.
It's kind of important for a steak to be really juicy. I'm not saying it's not important for pork to also be juicy, but we do want to take pork to a medium well. So I'm gonna start, actually I'm gonna throw some gloves on. I've got some pork chops, like pork loin, right? Nothing difficult here. They're decent thickness, let's say 1 inch to 1.5 inches. You don't want the really, really thin stuff. It cooks way too quick. So we're gonna dice it up. Now we're gonna make healthy, good, big bites. Think of this like a tailgating party. You got a bunch of dudes, a bunch of friends over. You want something pickable. 1 bite will do you, but make it a decent bite.
But dude, this is
Be
inexpensive
decent.
meat, so you can do a lot.
Yeah, this is not expensive. By all means, you could fill your Blackstone up, or you could do enough like we're doing today. Probably be enough like 3 or 4. Maybe 5 people.
Maybe 3.
Maybe 6 if they're light eaters. Very simple seasoning here. Salt and pepper and ground ginger. The ground ginger is gonna do 2 things for us. It's gonna give us a ton of flavor. Notice I'm not using fresh, I am using ground because the consistency is almost like flour. So it's gonna give us a crust on the outside. So it's gonna be this like vibrant, bright, and beautiful crust. Now I've got my griddle pretty smoking hot. We're at medium high heat. I'm gonna use 3 different oils, which might sound strange, but just trust a brother. Trust me. I'm starting with some olive oil, then some sesame oil, then some chili oil. Skip the chili oil if you don't like the heat, but it turns the oils into a flavor component, not just a medium for heat. So use any kinds of oils that you like, but these are the ones I like. Now, if you want, you can do this next part, but you don't have to. You could just serve the pork bites by themselves. But I really like a bed of wilted cabbage. So the cabbage I'm using, just some white cabbage. Slice it up like a julienne, something nice, something elegant looking. I mean, don't go overboard on your knife skills, but we do want them kind of thin. We don't want giant chunks. I've also got some other garnishes here. Use any garnishes that you like, but I like green onions, red jalapeno peppers or red chili peppers. You could use some cilantro, but your garnishes are where you can really play and make things unique to you. If you wanted to use nuts or cashews or walnuts, you could totally do that. But essentially what you're looking for is some color, some contrast, and adding the flavors that you like. Now, about halfway through, you'll notice the pork starts to get really, really crispy. That's what we're looking for. If it's not getting crispy, crank the heat up. You want some serious heat here. But once they're done, the last thing I like to do is a bit of Bachan's miso. If you have not tried Bachan's miso, whoa. Holy whoa. It's rich. It is a fantastic, fantastic addition. We're using it here like a glaze, so you don't only have to use it as a garnishing sauce. If you want to finish the pork, you can add some sesame seeds, toss that all together. Now, before it burns, make sure it's all tossed nice and even. We're like 95% cooked here. Slide it over to the cooler part of your griddle. Now, before any of the rest of that sauce, like I was saying, you don't want it to burn. Let's get to our cabbage. Let's add all of our cabbage. Now you'll notice here it starts to wilt really, really quickly, so we want to move quick. We don't want to cook this super long. Let's add a bit of lime juice. I should have mentioned it earlier. The sweet acidity of lime juice is different than just straight acidity. It goes a long way. Now, depending on whatever ingredients you want to add, your garnish, called garnish, it's what makes the cabbage pop once you add all the color. Add all of that now. We're also going to add some rice wine vinegar to punch up the acidity a touch more, and some tamari. The tamari is going to give us some dynamic flavor, a bit more richness, and some saltiness as well. This is so incredibly simple. But remember, you don't want to cook the cabbage too long, otherwise it starts to turn to mush. We're just heating it up and wilting it just a little bit. I'm talking 2 minutes tops. Do not go any longer than 2 minutes. Plating is crazy easy. Just make a big pile of food, CJ.
Pile it up, bro.
It's tailgating. Make a pile of food. But this, it's a particularly beautiful pile. If your cabbage is a bit saucy, a bit juicy, let some of it drain off and then put it down on your plate. I like to use kind of like a bowled plate, a plated bowl.
That's like
you know what I'm saying?
Cabbage, right?
Yeah, it's just some of the liquid that we use. We don't want all of that to kind of just be soupy. A little bit's fine. A little bit of sauciness is fine. Then cover the top with our gorgeous pork bites. Look at those things. They're so glazy. That miso is fantastic as an ingredient to cook with and as an ingredient to garnish. Speaking of garnish, if you want, go a little harder with a bit more of your green onions if you'd like. You can add any other garnishes that you like. You just want a little pop of color, a pop of contrast. I'm using some sriracha mayo, which if you can't find it, just mix sriracha and mayo. Do you know that, CJ?
Yeah, I did.
Simple recipe. Sriracha mayo and then a bit more of that Bachan's. If you want some more sesame seeds, just because it's beautiful. And what you're left with is truly, like CJ said at the beginning, doesn't look like a tailgate dish, but it is, and it's gonna blow your friends away. CJ, can you look in here? You can see right here.
Oh yeah.
Like, there's a decent little bit of sauce. If you're a dipper, I'm a dipper. I'm a big fan of the dip. A little dip in that sauce. There we go. Come on now.
Yeah.
The other nice part too, the bottom, look, it's right here, CJ. Now, we didn't cook the cabbage for too long, so we should still have some texture. Also, the red chilies, if you don't like the heat, just skip that part. So the crunch. You wanna try it, dude? You'll eat this, right? There's no seafood. Come try this. Come here. You can skip the chili oil and the red chilies, and you won't have that same heat. But for me, I mean, buffalo wings, like that's a big tailgate thing.
Oh, it's a huge thing.
The heat. Dude, the crunch on the cabbage still.
It's still there.
It's money.
All right, let's try this little.
Also, if you've never used ground ginger, I don't know if you can really see on the crust. If you look really close, you can see that crust starts to form. That's because of the ground ginger, the consistency of the ground ginger.
Dude, I'm a fan of that cabbage.
It's money.
It's
right?
pretty good.
Yep.
It's all right.
You could also do this with shrimp, or you can do any other fish product that CJ wouldn't approve of. Oh, dang. It's so good. So good. The crunch. Thank you all so much for hanging out. This is a fun one. Just because you're tailgating or doing something at home, throwing a little like a football party, doesn't mean you can't elevate. Doesn't mean you can't do fun stuff. Honestly, put this with noodles. You could, like, this could be just straight dinner. Forget about a tailgating party. Do it for yourself. Do it for yourself. Really fun. Ooh, there's a spice. It's coming at the end.
Yeah,
You getting it?
that red chili at the end.
It's coming in. It's coming in. Well, thank you guys again so much for watching. This is Cook, Eat, Repeat, where we like to help you become a better cook, one recipe at a time. I'm your host, Chef Nathan Lippy, and I will see you all in the next episode.